What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. Welcome back to the Flame Entertainment and Sports. It's your boy Rob here. Hope everyone had a great end to 2024, and I hope you all have an amazing 2025. Thank you all so much for tuning into this episode. Yeah, we're back, Flame Entertainment and Sports. First episode of 2025 is here. Super excited. We have a lot to get into. A lot has gone on within the last couple of weeks in the entertainment world and the sports world, and specifically in Miami sports. A lot of drama is going on, so that's a good thing for us. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss, and give our opinions on. And with that said, make sure to keep up with us on social media, on Instagram and TikTok at the flame_es. Thank you to everyone on social media who supports us, who follows us, gives us likes, shares our stuff, saves it, comments, whatever it may be. Whoever whoever listens to the podcast, watches it on YouTube. Thanks to everyone out there who hasn't some way contributed to helping us grow this podcast that I love so much. So yeah, thank you guys so much. With all that said, we're gonna start off as always in the entertainment world. We're gonna be focusing primarily on Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, as it ends with us. Co-stars have been in a legal battle since the end of December, and there's a lot of details that have come out, so we're gonna get into that. Then we're gonna move on in entertainment as well. Briefly talk about the Golden Globes, which occurred this past Sunday night. We posted a lot of content of the Globes on our Instagram at the flame_es. A lot of reels out there. A lot of Timothée, Chalamet, Kylie Jenner, a lot of Selena Gomez, and some others as well. But we're gonna do that in the entertainment world, and then in the sports world, we're gonna start off with Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat, as Butler has officially requested to be traded from Miami because, quote unquote, he wants to find his joy again on the court and anywhere but Miami, quote unquote, which is all, in my opinion, a plea or he's trying everything he can to get more money, but we'll get into that. And then also in the sports world, we're going to play a clip for you all. Our college football analyst, Paul, he wasn't able to, we weren't able to record together, but he did send in an audio clip, giving his thoughts on this week's college football playoff semi-final games between Notre Dame and Penn State and Ohio State and Texas. So we're going to play that clip for you all. I haven't even listened to it yet because I wanted to get my live reaction out there as to what Paul, what his thoughts are for these games coming up this week. And then finally, we're going to end with the Miami Dolphins as, the season ended. Dolphins lose the final game of the year to the Jets. We don't make the playoffs. Tyreek Hill causing trouble off the field and on the field this time. And then I'm going to finish off by giving my predictions for the NFL playoffs, which are set to begin this coming weekend. So yeah, it's a jam-packed episode for you all to start off the new year. And with all that said, let's get into it, starting off in the entertainment world with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. All right, guys, so we're going to start off our first topic of 2025 with Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, the co-stars of It Ends With Us, a movie which came out in early August. It was highly anticipated. A lot of people, went to go see the movie. It was based off of a book. But yeah, with all that said, months leading into the premiere, or right around the premiere, or right before the premiere, I forgot when exactly, things started to come out that Justin and Blake didn't get along on set. And then now, we had a couple months where there was really nothing going on publicly in terms of Justin and Blake. And then let me pull up the timeline here. I want to shout out Forbes.com. They did a great article today describing the whole feud and kind of, putting it in a compact way, which makes it easier for everyone to understand what's going on, because there's so many details that it'll take hours to really get into every single thing that's gone on. So on December 20th, Blake Lively filed a complaint with the California Civil Rights Department claiming Justin Baldoni by entering her makeup trailer uninvited while she was undressed, pressured her to lose weight 4 months after giving birth, and coordinating a PR campaign with a crisis firm designed to destroy Miss Lively's reputation. So that was the first thing in terms of the legal battle here. There are some text messages Now they seem to be edited. We really don't know. Like that came out in that complaint that Blake filed against Justin, that it was allegedly Justin texting his team or his PR team that they have to like destroy her, and who knows if it's true or it was fabricated. We really don't know. But that's when it all started, like legal wise, because I don't know if you guys remember during the premiere of this movie, like in the first red carpet. I think it was in, I want to say, New York. It was super noticeable that like um, Blake, like the rest of the cast was taking pictures with Blake. They're interacting with her on the red carpet of this movie, and none of them were interacting with Justin Baldoni. I think a couple of them unfollowed Justin on Instagram at the time. Justin at the time even had his own podcast where I think it's kind of like a feminist-based podcast, something like that. And he co-hosted it with a woman. And at that time of the premiere, even the co-hosts, I believe, like unfollowed him and they stopped doing the podcast. So, you know, a lot was going on. But yeah, that was all the way back in August, which is crazy to think about. And then now here, a couple of days before Christmas, Blake files this complaint. Then the following day, December 21st, Justin was dropped by his talent agency, Walter Morris Entertainment, WME, which is arguably the biggest, you know, talent agency out there. And so obviously that significantly affects his career and his opportunities going forward. Then on December 24th, Christmas Eve, Vital Voices, which is a nonprofit organization that focuses on empowering women, took away an award that they had previously given to Justin. And it says, Baldoni, who has made a career expressing his support of women's stories and co-hosted a podcast about masculinity called Man Enough, which his co-host pulled out of the same day. Okay, so there's a little more context in terms of the podcast as well. And then on that same day, on Christmas Eve, Baldoni was sued by his ex-publicist over an alleged conspiracy to discredit her and steal her clients. Then a couple days later, almost a week later, on New Year's Eve, it says Lively formally filed a lawsuit in New York federal court against Justin Baldoni, his publicist, Wayfarer Studios, which is a studio that is co-owned by Baldoni, and other defendants for quote-unquote retaliating against her for reporting sexual harassment and workplace safety concerns, end quote. Then on that same day, on New Year's Eve, Baldoni filed a $250 million libel lawsuit against the New York Times for the paper's reporting on Lively's allegations accusing the outlet of having cowered to the wants and whims of two powerful, untouchable Hollywood elites, Lively and her husband Ryan Reynolds. And then on January 3rd, a couple of days ago, Justin's lawyer, Brian Friedman, he told NBC's The Today Show he absolutely plans to file a lawsuit against Lively after she alleged she was subjected to sexually inappropriate behavior by Baldoni on the set of It Ends With Us, but wouldn't say exactly what the countersuit would allege, though denied Lively's claim that Baldoni and his team launched a smear campaign against the actress. And then I'm recording this Wednesday, January 8th, so yesterday, on Tuesday, January 7th, entertainment lawyer Brian Friedman, who I just mentioned, he appeared on the Megyn Kelly show. Of course, Megyn Kelly, a longtime, you know, journalist and political, you know, talk show host. She does a great job. So Justin's lawyer, Brian Friedman, he appeared on her show yesterday, and he, you know, released some exclusive information. So he went on to onto Megyn's show to discuss Baldoni's plan to sue Lively into oblivion. That is what Brian Friedman said. And then he pushed back on several of the actress's allegations, including those that she was sexually harassed and shown pornography on the set of It Ends With Us. The interview also included newly released sound from a voice note from Justin explaining that he was sent to the basement of the film's premiere because Lively didn't want me anywhere near her or the rest of the cast. So yeah, just actually, before I recorded this, I finished listening to that interview that Brian Friedman did with Megyn Kelly. And, you know, it seems as if from everything I saw and looking at him, like, I didn't listen to it on audio. I watched it because I wanted to see his face, and I kind of wanted to see what his face looked like when he was talking. And I actually believed him, and he looked super confident that they're going to have a lot of evidence in their lawsuit whenever it is filed against Blake, against, you know, Ryan Reynolds, he mentioned as well. And yeah, you know, I just wanted to make sure to read all the facts and all in terms of like the legality stuff, because like I could come on here and give opinions, but at the end of the day, my goal all these things is to really inform the people rather than be like, oh, I'm on this side, I'm on that side. In a case like this, I really don't have a side. I just want, I want, both sides to be at peace and, for justice to be served, whether either of them deserves it or not, I can't tell you. But I just wanted to make sure, at least give the people the facts. Obviously, you guys could discuss what you believe or who you believe in this case. Do you believe Baldoni? Do you believe Blake Lively? And yeah, it's just one of those, I don't know, weird cases in Hollywood. I know a lot of people are, comparing it to Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. I could kind of see a comparison, but it is like kind of totally different at the same time because the Amber Heard Johnny Depp stuff is like things that allegedly occurred when they're in a relationship. Like Blake and Justin are never in a relationship; they're just co-stars, on a movie together. And there's a lot of talk out there. Like I said, I'm just trying to give information, but I also want to kind of talk about what some people are speculating here and what's kind of been mentioned here and there with this whole Blake Justin dilemma, I guess you could call it. So Justin, he currently has the rights to the movie. He directed, It Ends With Us. This was he calls it like his baby or his project, whatever. And a lot of people think that Blake and Ryan are trying to get the rights for the next movie and so on, however many more of these It Ends With Us movies they do. So, it's a super interesting case. Like I said, my main focus with it was to give the facts, because at the end of the day, this is in the court system now. So, this is serious. It's not just like, oh, rumors, speculation, blind item. No, like these two parties are going after each other. So this is serious stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to give the facts, but I think that's gonna wrap it up for the Justin and Blake talk. But let me open up my notes here. Just wanted to quickly mention, as I said in the intro, the Golden Globes, which occurred this past Sunday night. As I mentioned, we put out a lot of content, a lot of reels on our Instagram during the award show at the flame_es. Make sure to go check them out if you haven't yet, and if you have, I appreciate the love. But yeah, we have a couple clips of the Globes of, we have Ariana Grande, we have some Miley Cyrus, Kylie Cuoco, who's one of my favorite actresses out there, Rachel Brosnahan, who's, in my opinion, a super underrated actress. She's going to star as Lois Lane in the upcoming Superman movie. And, the majority of content we have, though, is of Selena Gomez and of Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet. So last year, Kylie and Timothée, I believe that was their first public outing, I want to say, the Golden Globes. And now, they attended it again together this year. We have a lot of pictures, a lot of reels that we posted on the flame_es. So make sure to go check them out if you haven't. It was interesting to see them together there interacting. We have pictures of them kissing, of, the way they're looking at each other. They did seem like an actual couple. I know a lot of people have speculated over the past year or so, however long it's been, that it's mainly PR and that they're, that maybe they're just like, hooking up and not in a full relationship. Who knows? Honestly, I don't really have a gut feeling on this relationship. But from what I saw or witnessed, obviously through screens and stuff, obviously I wasn't in person with them. I would say I'm leaning more towards it being like a legitimate relationship, but who knows? It's all for, it's fun to speculate. And, if you guys have any thoughts on this relationship, if you believe it's just PR, if it's just real, or it's kind of a mix of both, like maybe it's some PR, but maybe they do get along and have a good time together. I can see all those options being the case. But yeah, let me know if you have any thoughts on Timothée and Kylie. And then, Selena Gomez, we have a lot of clips of her out there. They're doing really good. And, we love Selena Gomez on here. She, her and the Emilia Perez cast, they did win a Golden Globe. Selena was super emotional, so that was really cool to see. I thought Nikki Glaser, the comedian, she was the host of the Globes. She did an incredible job because she's hilarious and she makes jokes, but at the same time, she's like humble. You could tell she's humble and like a nice person. She's not just like making fun of people and being all like trying to be just like funny. Like, I don't know if that made sense, but I don't know. I like Nikki Glaser and this host, and there's already in this row. Sorry, not in this host. And there's already reports coming out that they want her back for next year for 2026, and I think that'll be the perfect move to bring her back by the Golden Globes next year. And then to finish off this entertainment segment, I just wanted to send my congratulations to Zendaya and Tom Holland who allegedly got engaged a couple days ago. Zendaya was now recently spotted at the alleged ring that Tom gave her during the proposal. So congratulations to them. I thought at first, or for the first couple years, however long this has been, I thought it was all PR. I'm not gonna lie. Even if you go back in time to all the Spider-Man movies, you think of the original Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst, they dated. Then you move on to the next Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield. He dated his co-star in that movie, Emma Stone. And then then you come to the third Spider-Man, Tom Holland, and his co-star Zendaya. I kind of thought it was PR. I wasn't against it. I like them both. I'm a fan of them both, but I didn't really think it was a legitimate relationship. But hey, it looks like they're engaged now. So I just want to send my congratulations to them and wish them all the best. And then two other people I want to mention on here. They're not celebrities, but they are in this department of recently engaged couples, and that is my original co-host of the Flame Entertainment and Sports, Brandon, and his now fiance Gabby. They're an amazing couple. I was able to be there the night they got engaged, and I'm just super happy for them. Those of you who who've listened to this podcast from the beginning, me and Brandon, or Brandon and I, sorry about that. My former English teacher, Brandon and I, started this podcast back in, I want to say 2019. And, it started off as a YouTube channel. It was called The Sports Flame. Then we transitioned, to Flame Entertainment and Sports. And, we're still best friends to this day. Regardless of us doing a podcast together or not, that friendship never ended. It only got stronger, honestly, throughout the years. And I'm just super happy for him and Gabby. They're amazing people. So yeah, once again, congrats to Zendaya and Tom. Congrats to Gabby and Brandon. And yeah, it's gonna wrap up our entertainment portion on today's debut episode of 2025. And now we will go into the sports world, starting off with the clown show going on in Miami, led by Jimmy Butler and Tyreek Hill. All right, guys. So now to start off the first sports segment talk of 2025 here on the podcast, we're going to start off in Miami with the Miami Heat, as Jimmy Butler has requested a trade from the Miami Heat. So Jimmy had been out for several games with an alleged stomach illness or stomach virus, whatever you want to call it. Then he comes back for the first two games of 2025. And pretty much he didn't really show much effort or much effort in terms of him wanting to be on that basketball court. And then following the second game of 2025, he's talking to the media after the game, and he starts talking about how I want to find joy again on the court. I have joy here in Miami off the court, but I want to find it on the court. And then he said, I'll something like to the extent of anywhere but Miami. So basically, Jimmy. So I know people have different feelings on this, and I respect all angles. I understand if you're on Jimmy's side. I understand if you put blame on the Heat and Jimmy. I understand if you're on the Heat side. Me personally, I'm always gonna ride with the Miami Heat. And it's not because, they're my favorite basketball team. Because the thing is, for example, this was a case with the Marlins or the Dolphins or something. I might have a different view on it because the Marlins and Dolphins aren't perennial winning organizations with winning cultures. The Heat is a different story. So I'm always going to ride with the Heat side, whether it was with the Wade situation, whether it was whatever the hell situation that's gone on here in our history with the Heat. I'm always riding with the Heat because all they've brought to South Florida ever since Pat Riley's arrival 30 years ago is success and great memories for all the people in Miami. So I'm always riding with the Heat. So here's for those of you that don't know, this whole situation with Jimmy, it kind of started in the off season. So heading into this season, Jimmy, he has had a year left on his contract, like he currently does, with a player option for next season. But reports started circulating in the offseason that Jimmy wanted a max contract, a brand new max contract. And Pat Riley, he had his end of season press conference last year. He said we have a year for that. We don't have to do that right now, and we have no interest. And I totally agree with that. Here's my take on it. Like Jimmy, 35 years old. He is not durable at all. And it's normal. He's getting older. His ankles are bad. His knees are getting worse. And at the end of the day, he doesn't really, within the last couple of years specifically, he hasn't, I don't know how to explain it. He hasn't played enough in terms of someone who's expecting like a max contract. I don't know how Jimmy can really say like, oh, like be mad at the Heat for not giving him a max contract right now. When at the end of the day, like you think of last season, how many games did Jimmy miss? Oh, and then he'd come back, he'd play like 1 or 2 games amazing, and then he'd have like the majority of the games last year in the regular season I'd be watching. And on offense specifically, he'd be standing in one corner, he wouldn't be moving around, like he'd look like super disengaged. But then you want to come and ask for a bunch of money from the franchise, by the way, who has given you multiple contracts already. The franchise that saved your career. And don't get me wrong, for the people who say, no, Jimmy saved the Heat, I get it. We're in a tough place when we got Jimmy. And in that first year, we made the finals in the bubble. And it's been amazing, amazing, 5-6 years, however long it's been already. And I'm forever grateful for the memories. But the way that Jimmy has handled this situation, in my opinion, is absolutely classless, and it's sad. At the end of the day, it's all about money. It's not about, oh, quote unquote, finding joy again on the court or, oh, anywhere but Miami. It's like, not anywhere that's going to pay you. That's where you want to go. But, of course, he's using the Heat within the media, within the national media now. And it just looks like a clown show. And it's just unfortunate because this organization doesn't deserve that. They're not a clown show at all. So the fact that Jimmy did this publicly like that, it just, to me, it felt totally wrong. And I've talked about Jimmy on here. People that I talk basketball with know how I feel about Jimmy. Literally immediately after his first season in Miami, he surpassed Wade for me and became my favorite player of all time. So I love Jimmy as a player. I've loved everything he's contributed to Miami. And as I said a couple minutes ago, I'm forever grateful for the memories. It's just super sad to see all these great years end like this. And unfortunately, this is what Jimmy's done in his career. First team, it was Chicago, right? What did he do? Ask for a trade. Then he goes to Minnesota. What does he do? He does that whole spectacle. He brings in Rachel Nichols for a sit-down interview, flies her out to Minnesota. He calls out basically the whole franchise on national TV, and he does it to Minnesota. Then they trade him to Philly. What does he do? Ask for a trade because they didn't give him a contract, and he comes to Miami. And it's been, honestly, like at least publicly, it's been kind of smooth sailing. It's been the perfect fit. He's been a great guy for the Heat, and the Heat have been great to him. Before he came here, he was known as that cancer. And unfortunately now, though, with what he just pulled publicly, he's looking like a cancer once again, which is just sad to see. Because like I said, the way I feel about this guy as a player, man, everything he's done, it's unbelievable. But after what he just pulled now, I've lost a lot of respect and a lot of love for Jimmy, because I felt like I was blindsided. Maybe I let him fool me, I think that's kind of the case here because a lot of people are saying, oh, are you guys really surprised? And I understand them. I just felt that like once he got here, I was like, oh, it's a perfect match, it's a perfect marriage, and he's going to retire here, and he's going to stick around with the Heat even after he retires. He'll be at games, whatever it may be. But unfortunately, it is what it is. This is how it ended. But yeah, that's basically the Jimmy Butler situation. As for the team, all I want right now is for this situation to end as quickly as possible. Obviously, the Heat have some of the smartest people in the league. They're not going to just take any offer and just trade him for nothing. I'm not saying to do that, but I'm hoping something gets done sooner rather than later, because all this is doing right now is creating a distraction for the guys on the court, for the coaching staff, for the organization as a whole, and they don't deserve it. The guys who actually want to be in Miami, who actually want to help their teammates win and bring a championship to Miami, they don't deserve this right now. So that's my take on it. As for the Heat too, like right now we're coming off of a win last night in Golden State. Or sorry, not last night. As you listened to this 2 nights ago, we lost to Sacramento on Monday in double overtime. Then Tuesday we had a big bounce back win in Golden State. So we're on a West Coast trip right now. We won't be back home till January 17th. I know we have Utah, I think, coming up, Portland, the Lakers, the Clippers. We already played Sacramento and Golden State. So it's a long West Coast road trip there. And, it's super exciting to see the young guys now with Jimmy. Oh, and this is another thing to mention. Jimmy's currently on a 7-game suspension. That he put him on a suspension. I think we're, 2 or 3 games in, I want to say. Oh no, 3 games in, 3 games in, yeah, because we lost the first one at home to the Jazz. Then we lost to Sacramento, and then we beat Golden State. So we're 3 games in of his 7-game suspension. We'll see what happens after that. But yeah, it's super exciting to see these young guys now getting their opportunity. Now, Jaime Jaquez Jr., he started in the last 2 games. He got his first career triple-double in Sacramento. Then he had a huge 18-point game in the victory over Golden State. Nikola Jovic, he's getting more minutes now. In my opinion, he was the main factor as to why the Heat beat Golden State on Tuesday night. You see Khalil Ware, the first-round pick, he's getting his minutes now, and he's looking great. Tyler Hero continues to have an all-star season, the best of his career. Bam Adebayo, he's been struggling the majority of the year on offense, but thankfully against Golden State, he was able to bounce back in a big way and help contribute to that big-time win over there in the Bay Area. So yeah, I'm excited to embrace the youth movement now with the Heat going forward, and as always, it's always let's go Heat, and I just can't wait to see what the Heat do next. Now to move on, we're gonna move on. I'm gonna play for you guys here a little college football talk right now. As I mentioned in the intro, Paul wasn't able to join us today, but he did send over an audio message because I wanted to make sure to get his thoughts on this week's semifinal games coming up. Thursday night, live here from Miami at Hard Rock Stadium, we have Notre Dame against Penn State. And then I believe from AT&T Stadium Friday night in Dallas, we have Texas against Ohio State. So 2 great games coming. Before I play Paul, I'll give my quick predictions. I have Notre Dame beating Penn State. I have Ohio State beating Texas. And then I have Notre Dame winning the national championship against Ohio State. But I'm most excited for this game on Thursday night, the Orange Bowl here in Miami, because Notre Dame and Penn State arguably have the top 2 defenses in the whole country. And I'm a big defense guy, so I can't wait to tune in for that game. And now let's play this clip by college football analyst Paul. I haven't listened to this yet, just so you guys know.
Hey, what up, y'all? Rob, thanks for having me on the show again, man. It's always a pleasure to be back on the show. Super pumped up. It's finally the semifinals, man. Finally got it. It's about damn time. This playoff has been a little long. I feel like first round was definitely some blowouts, and then the second round there's a couple closer games, but still, this is where it's gonna get real interesting, man. We got Notre Dame facing off against Penn State in the Orange Bowl, and then the Cotton Bowl. We got Texas, and honestly, what everyone is calling the hottest team in the country by far, Ohio State. I'm just pumped, man. I'd love to hear your picks. This is going to be a solo thing. For those of you that don't know, I'm a medical student, so I'm pretty busy this month. Trying to sneak this one in because it's obviously one of the biggest weekends of college football, so I wanted to, support Rob, do a quick little my take on these games. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoy. So I'm going to start off with the Orange Bowl because that game's going to be coming up first. It's going to be, I believe, this Thursday, Penn State versus Notre Dame. This is an interesting game. I called right from the jump that right when the playoff bracket was released, that Penn State would make it to the playoff semifinal. They had the easiest path, and it seems like they did that pretty soundly. They did it pretty easily, actually. I myself was not surprised about that. But Notre Dame, I wasn't 100% sure. I had a feeling they'd play against Georgia, but it really came down to whether they would be able to beat them out. Georgia's a really tough physical team, so props to both of them. I think this is an accomplishment regardless. They've won 2 games in the playoffs to get to this point. So I think both. I think all 4 coaches deserve their props. I think for now, all their jobs are safe. And yeah, that includes Ryan Day. I know I'm getting a little off topic, but I think it's the thing about this 12-team playoff is that once you get to this point, it's kind of hard to be like, oh, your coach is on the hot seat. Like maybe unless you get blown out like really bad. But even then, this is a big deal. It's the first time this has happened. These coaches have done an amazing job getting to this point. But with that being said, I think the injuries will drive the result of this game in a few ways. Jeremiah Love and Abdul Carter, some key players in this game. Abdul Carter being a defensive lineman from Penn State, and Jeremiah Love being the star running back from Notre Dame. Both of these guys are not 100% to play in this game. So I'm going to give my analysis basically assuming that these guys will play, because I feel like that's probably the way to do this. It seems like they probably will get in the game this Thursday. And so, honestly, I really like what Penn State has done. I think that they are, have really blossomed as a team. I think that Drew Aller has been doing his thing. He tends to do his thing against inferior opponents. I don't think Notre Dame is an inferior opponent. I think they're one of the best teams in the country. I've been saying it, like me and Rob have been saying on the show for months now, that they're one of the sneaky best teams in the league. They really, ever since that NIU loss, they've turned it up. The defense has been fantastic. Their running game has been spectacular. And so I just really don't know. This is some people are really saying, morning. Some people are really saying that Penn State is going to run away with this one, but I don't think so. I think Notre Dame's going to edge them. So I think the line on this game is like 1.5 or something like that, maybe 2.5. It's pretty close. I think favors Notre Dame. I would take them on that spread. I think the running attack is going to be a little too much for Penn State. Penn State's also pretty one-dimensional when it comes to passing the ball. When they have Tyler Warren, their tight end, who's the absolute stud. Don't get me wrong, but if they can't get the run game going against Notre Dame, who has a great running defense, I don't see Penn State really winning this game. Because, it's easier said than done to lock up Tyler Warren, don't get me wrong. But it gets pretty one-dimensional, and I think you're facing a team in Notre Dame that can do it, as opposed to the teams you faced before that I don't think were able to do that and cover the rest of the receivers and get to Drew Aller. I think that's a huge thing too. If Penn State can't not establish the run game, then Notre Dame is going to get pressure on them, a lot of pressure on Drew Aller, and that is the last thing that they want, right? They need to give him some time to get rid of the football. So I really like Notre Dame in the spot here. I have them going to the championship game. It's going to be a good one. I have a feeling this one's going to be closer than the other ones have been. Georgia just pounded. Notre Dame just pounded Georgia, and Penn State just want that other win. Another butt whooping, belt to ass, whatever you want to call it nowadays. That's about it. I'm not going to get too deep. I think that was good enough. For the next game, I really... This Penn State game, this Penn State Notre Dame game, if you told me Penn State won, I'd be like, okay, I believe you. But if you told me Texas won this game, you'd have to really convince me as to how they won. You need to show me stats. You need to show me, turnover margins. You need to show me a lot of things for me to actually buy that. Because right now, I think the line is 5.5 in favor of Ohio State. I think Ohio State's going to win by more than that if they play how they've been playing the last two games. The last two games of football, they pounded Tennessee and they washed Oregon, who is the unanimous number one team, the only undefeated team in the country, team that had lost to in Oregon earlier this year. So Will Howard is firing on all cylinders. I feel like all season I was like, man, when is it going to happen? They've expected a lot out of him. He hasn't been delivering his A+ football, but he's doing it at the right time. Jeremiah Smith, I think everyone has known his name, but he's becoming a household name with this playoff. I think that continues. It's going to be hard to find an answer for him. And Ohio State's run game, Trevion Henderson. And with Texas, man, kind of the similar themes as to what I was going off of in the Penn State Notre Dame game. If Texas can't run the ball, which is something they've struggled with all year, running the ball, if they can't do that, and they have to rely on Quinn Ewers to win the game, I'm sorry, I don't trust Quinn Ewers to do that. And he's another guy. Like, I can't remember the name of the Texas receiver right now. Holden Harding. I can't remember. Forgive me. But they have a similar situation that they rely heavily on the receiver. Quinn Ewers has been good. I don't think he's been fantastic. He's not playing at the level that Will Howard is. That could obviously flip, on a game-to-game basis, but he hasn't shown me yet. Will Howard has. Like I said, Texas is struggling in the run game, and Ohio State's been fantastic against the run. Rob loves his stuff because he loves old school football, run the ball, play defense, and I think that's going to be the story of the game. Texas might not be able to run the ball, and if they can't, they're going to have to win in the air, and Ohio State's not going to let that happen. Caleb Downs might come up with a couple of interceptions, force some turnovers, and then and do what they do. They're firing on all cylinders on offense. Ryan Day has that team looking real good. Like I said, I think his job is pretty secure at this point, but it'd be 100% secure if he can secure this win. Ohio State's the hottest team in the country. That might change. Could absolutely change. But we're going to have to see. They're going to have to – it's one of those things that they're going to have to show me. Not just me. They're going to have to show the country that they're not the hottest team, right? They've already shown, you can't count against them now. They're going to have to prove to you why you shouldn't bet on them, why you shouldn't, count on them being the hottest team in the country right now. So that's my analysis. I really think that that game feels like a lock to me. We'll see if Texas can pull it out. I think that I have a lot of respect for Sark. I think he's a great coach. I think he can make the adjustments needed within the game, obviously, but we'll see. I'm trying to think of any other things that I need to talk about. Honestly, I don't think there are any. Yeah. We'll say Notre Dame, I don't think I mentioned this in the earlier analysis, that they're fantastic at creating takeaways, which is kind of a weird stat, but I think they're top 4 or top 5 in the country at doing that. If they have their way with that against Penn State, it could get actually a little ugly, especially depending on their red zone conversion percentages. Because if they can get some turnovers deep in enemy territory and then they convert, Penn State's going to have to go into panic mode. And if that happens quick, that could be real bad for Penn State. So we'll see. Like I said, these things are just trends that we notice. The game script can be flipped at any time, and we don't even know it. We just see it. It just happens when the game gets turned on. These games are played on the field, on grass, not on paper. But it was a pleasure. This is a fantastic season, man. One of the most fun we've had in a while. I want to thank Ron for having me on the show. I want to thank you guys for listening. It's always a blast. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Can't wait for next season. I can't wait for the championship game. Let's see if I'm right about these. But yeah, take it easy.
Thank you so much to our college football analyst, Paul, for dropping the knowledge there on the audio message. And it's just amazing always to hear his analysis, right, on all these certain teams or certain matchups. And I thought he made a lot of great points. And I'm super happy that I said my prediction before I played his clip. And look, we have the same predictions. We both picked Notre Dame and Ohio State. So that gives me it gives me a lot more confidence because at the end of the day, he is a college football guy. So yeah, thanks again to Paul. And we've enjoyed, having him on here this year, on a consistent basis. It's been amazing because, in the past we had him here and there and people loved it, But now the fact that this season is our first season that, we're able to bring him on pretty much almost every week. And, it's just been a huge blessing to have him on. He's a brother to me. And the fact that he, like he mentioned early in that audio clip, that he is a medical student right now. He has a lot going on. So the fact that he's been able to give us his time throughout the season, I couldn't say thank you enough to him. And it's just a blessing that, he's willing to take the time and, to contribute to this show. And he does a great job of it. And everyone loves it. I tell him, people literally tell me, I love that Paul guy. I love hearing him talk about college. He has so many good facts and he has a lot of good information behind his opinions. And it's so true. He does an amazing job. So once again, thank you to Paul for doing that to us. And then, Now I'm gonna get in. So I'm gonna end right with the NFL playoff predictions that I have. But first off, gotta get into the Miami Dolphins. They lose their final game of the season to the New York Jets. We finished the season 8-9. Super disappointing season, obviously, from not just the ending, but from the start to the beginning. Um, I mean, that's the main thing, right? It was disappointing. There was no progression showed. Obviously there's always going to be bright spots. There's always going to be the guys that no matter what's going on, no matter what your record is, they're always going to be there and contribute. Unfortunately, we finished the season, the last 2 games without Tua. He got a hip injury in his, what ended up being his final game of the year, right? Oh, no, it wasn't his final game. No, it was a Houston game because he played in the game after the Houston game. So, yeah, when we played in the Texans stadium I want to say 4 weeks ago maybe, he suffered a hip injury, but he was able to, push through and play the following game. But then for the last 2 games of the year, we beat Cleveland without him, with Tyler Huntley starting at quarterback. But then, this past Sunday against the Jets, Huntley started again. He had, I believe, 2 interceptions and a fumble. But it wasn't just Huntley. The whole it was crazy. It was a tale of two. You know how they say a tale of two halves, right? It's like a tale of two teams, I guess you could call it, or a tale of two units. Because from kickoff, you could tell the defense was hungry and they wanted to make the playoffs, and they're just willing to do it all and give it their all. But that was a different case for the offense. The offense had zero hunger, zero heart, zero fight. It was a complete embarrassment. Such a disgraceful performance by the Miami Dolphins offense, and then of course everyone's gonna call out the defense because they gave up these points, and Rodgers threw 4 touchdowns. I get it, but at the end of the day, I believe we stopped the Jets on 4 of their first 5 drives. Like, we held them to 4 and outs. We caused the interception on the first defensive play of the game. So the defense did their job, but at the end of the day, they're human beings and they're tired. I think they just got tired because unfortunately the offense was not helping them whatsoever. And then, of course, as always, it was too late. The Dolphins offense in the fourth quarter actually scored 2 touchdowns, their only touchdowns of the game. But unfortunately, it was too late. And I know regardless of we would have won, it didn't matter because the Broncos won. It's not about winning or losing or we didn't make it. It's about showing that you actually care, that you're playing for the guys next to you, that you're playing for your coaches, for the fans, for the city, for the owner, for the organization. It's not about, like, let's say we would have won the game, like the way we played. It would have been like, oh, okay, it's a win, but it was nothing impactful. I rather have a loss where you give it your all and you show me your fight and your heart, rather than a win where you kind of win flukishly, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, the with those 2 examples, the one that's going to be more impactful in the present and in the future for your team is the one where you gave it your all. So, a disappointing end to a disappointing season, as I said. And then after the game, the gift that keeps on giving, Tyreek Hill, we've all put up with him and we kind of ignore his antics because of, how much he's produced for us right on the field. But following this Jets game, he's talking to the media after the game, and he basically said, that he's too much of a competitor, and that he wants to go to a place, whether it's in Miami or not, where he's going to be able to win and compete. And just to put this in context, right? So he says that, right, the talker, and then it comes out after the game, revealed by Mike McDaniel. Someone asked him, why didn't Tyreek play in the fourth quarter? And Coach McDaniel said that someone went up to him and let him know that Tyreek would not be available for the fourth quarter, but it had nothing to do with the injury. So Tyreek, you give up, right? You give up on your team, right? With a quarter left in the season, you simply give up. I'm done. I'm not playing again. And then you have the audacity, right? Or the stupidness, foolishness, whatever the hell you want to call it, to say, I'm too much of a competitor. What type of competitor are you? You gave up on your team. That's the complete opposite of a competitor, man. That's a clown show. It's ridiculous. I'm completely done. I know now, what was it, Tuesday, Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel had their end of season press conference, and now it sounds like Tyreek now wants to stay here, blah, blah, blah. They had a meeting with him. I don't care. I'm done. I don't want that guy here. I don't want, he's supposed to be a veteran leader, right? what type of leadership is that? I don't want like Malik Washington or any of these young guys we have here to look up to him or learn from that guy, man. Because then we'll have a team full of selfish clowns everywhere. We won't have a unit who play for each other. So those are my brief thoughts there on Hill. I don't want to get more into it because it's just stupid. There's nothing more to say there. With all that said, now we're going to get into my predictions for the 2025 NFL playoffs. All right, guys. So for the final segment in the sports section of the first episode of the podcast for 2025, I'm going to be doing my NFL playoff predictions as the playoffs begin this coming weekend. But I'm also going to go over really quickly right now how I did with my predictions heading into the season. So I have it pulled up here. So I had in the AFC East, I had 3 teams making it. Obviously, I was wrong. I had the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Jets all going in. Only the Bills made it. You know, the Jets and the Dolphins both had underwhelming seasons. Then I had the Pittsburgh Steelers, so I got that one right. And I had the Ravens not making it. I had the Bengals actually making it. So in that division, I got the Steelers right, but unfortunately, the Bengals didn't make it. The Ravens did. And then we go on. AFC South, I had the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, I was way off. They actually got the number 1 pick in the league, so they had the worst record in the NFL this year. So the team that won that one is what most other people expected, which was the Houston Texans. And yeah, then AFC West, I had the Kansas City Chiefs, and obviously I got that one as they, finished with the number 1 seed and finished with a 15-2 record. Then in the NFC, I had the Philadelphia Eagles, so I had that one in. Had the Eagles, have the Lions. Okay, there we go. Have the Packers. Okay, I didn't have the Vikings, so I got the Vikings wrong. I had Tampa Bay and the Falcons. The Falcons didn't make it. Then I had the Rams. They made it. And then I had the 49ers. They didn't make it. So yeah, I didn't do too bad. I'll say I did average. I did pretty average. But now to get into the actual predictions for the actual playoffs. First off, let me pull up the schedule here for you all. So Wild Card Weekend begins this Saturday, January 11th. 2 games on Saturday. Starting with the first game is the number 5 seed in the AFC, the LA Chargers, heading to take on the number 4 seed Houston Texans in Houston. That game will be at 4:30 p.m. on CBS and Paramount Plus. In that one, I have the away team. I have the LA Chargers going into Houston and winning that game over there. Coach Harbaugh's done a tremendous job transforming this Chargers team. I think he might be, the leader or the man at the helm that they've needed for a while now. And I think they're going to pick up a big playoff win here in Houston. Then the second game that Saturday, we have a big division showdown between the number 6 seeded Pittsburgh Steelers as they head into Baltimore, face off against their ultimate rivals, the number 3 seeded Baltimore Ravens. I'm a big Mike Tomlin guy. I usually never go against Mike Tomlin. Unfortunately, though, how the Steelers have ended the season, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, I have very low confidence that they could win this game in Baltimore. Obviously, crazier things have happened. Sometimes in division games, like, they're super unpredictable, and you never know what could happen. But with that said, I'm picking the Ravens. The Ravens right now, I'm not a huge believer in them. I haven't been in playoffs, but they're one of the hottest teams in the league right now. Derrick Henry, I think in the playoffs, obviously he's made a tremendous impact already in the regular season, but I think in the playoffs, he could be that game changer that they've needed. And also their defense, led by first-year defensive coordinator Zachary Orr, they've gotten better as the seasons progress. There was a time there where it was kind of weird because everyone's so used to that Ravens defense being so elite. And for a good chunk of the season, they looked really bad. But you got to give them credit. They've adjusted. I don't know what they've done specifically, but they've gotten better on defense. So, yeah, on that Saturday, I have the Harbaugh brothers coming out victorious. Then on Sunday, we start off at 1 p.m. Eastern time. The number 7 seed in the AFC, the Denver Broncos, with rookie quarterback Bo Nix and second-year Bronco coach Sean Payton, head into Buffalo, take on the 2-seeded Buffalo Bills, 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS Paramount Plus. I forgot to mention the Steelers-Baltimore game will be on Prime Video. So to go back to the Broncos, Buffalo Bills, I have the Bills winning this one. Obviously, the Broncos have been one of the best stories in the league. I think Sean Payton should very much be considered for Coach of the Year. I think he's done a tremendous job. What a turnaround it's been in such a short amount of time with a rookie quarterback, the sixth quarterback taken in this past April's draft. And, it's been an amazing season for the Denver Broncos. Their defense is so damn good, super underrated, and young. They're building something there. Obviously, everyone knows Pat Surtain, one of the best corners in the league. But then Nick Bonito, the defensive end, he's had a rise to stardom this year. I was trying to find the words. Even their offseason addition of Brandon Jones, a former Dolphin safety, he's made a tremendous impact. He's super young. He's like fourth or fifth year. So the Broncos are not just building for now, but I think they could build something long term here. With that said, I am picking Buffalo. I just think the experience is really going to be the main factor. The playing in Buffalo in front of Bills Mafia, I think the Bills will take care of this one. And then the following game on Sunday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox and Fox Deportes. Number 7 Green Bay Packers go to number 2 Philadelphia Eagles. And in this one, I have Philly going in. My original predictions for the season, my Super Bowl matchup was the Dolphins beating the Green Bay Packers. Unfortunately, like Green Bay, they've had a tremendous season. Unfortunately, the last couple of weeks, they've kind of struggled. They've had, some injuries here and there. Jordan Love's going to play but he's kind of 50-50. I know Christian Watson is not playing. And I just think the Eagles are more of a complete team right now. They've been a big surprise for me in terms of how dominant they've been. Obviously, Saquon Barkley, he's arguably been the best player in all of football this year. And I think the Eagles will come out victorious in this wild card matchup. Then the final game, Sunday Night Football. I can't wait for this one. This might be the game I'm most excited for. The number 6 seeded Washington Commanders, a rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, and new coach Dan Quinn head into Tampa Bay, take on Baker Mayfield and the 3-seeded Buccaneers in Tampa. Sunday Night Football, 8 p.m. Eastern on NBC Peacock. And I can't wait for this one. I think this game's going to be amazing. I have Tampa winning. I'm a huge believer in Baker and a huge believer in the Bucs as a whole. They've had a lot of injuries, a lot of adversity this year. And what they do time and time again is continue to bounce back and find the way to keep going and getting better. Then for the final matchup of wildcard weekend, Monday Night Football, we have the 5-seeded Minnesota Vikings heading into Los Angeles, take on the LA Rams. I have the Rams winning this one. I know most people have Minnesota, but I'm a huge believer in the Rams, especially in the playoffs. Early on this year, they did struggle record-wise, but it was majority because their offensive weapons were missing. They had 3 offensive linemen who were out and not playing, 3 starting offensive linemen. Their defense is full of majority of rookies. They have a brand new defensive coordinator in Chris Shula, the grandson of Coach Don Shula. And, as the season went on, they got their pieces back. They got Puka Nacua back. They got Cooper Kupp back. Their offensive line, they got some of those guys back. And the guys that were struggling early on, they've improved as the season's gone on. And most importantly, their defense, full of all these young guys, has continued to get better as the season's progressed. So I just feel in the playoffs, I'm more confident in the Rams than in the Vikings. I think the Rams are more ready for the playoffs right now. Perhaps, we'll see what happens. I know most people are gonna favor Minnesota, but they've had a dominant season, and I'm not taking that away from them. They've been one of the most, surprising teams this year. One of the best stories in football, just like the Denver Broncos, that I mentioned recently. But I do have the LA Rams winning this one. And then now let me open this up. We move on now to the second round. We'll start off here, the divisional round. We have the LA Chargers heading into Kansas City, take on the Chiefs. I have Kansas City winning that game. Then our second divisional matchup in the AFC, we have the Baltimore Ravens heading into Buffalo, take on the Bills. I have the Baltimore Ravens actually, which I didn't expect this, but I did these predictions right before I recorded. I went with my gut. I would typically go with Pittsburgh. I'd go with Buffalo, but this Ravens team is looking different than in past years, and I think Derrick Henry is one of the main reasons. And as I said before, I think the Ravens they found what they had to change on the defense side of the ball. So in the AFC Championship, we have the Baltimore Ravens heading into Arrowhead to take on the back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, and I have the Chiefs once again making it to the Super Bowl. Now on the NFC side, divisional round, we have the LA Rams heading into Detroit, take on the one-seeded Detroit Lions. I have actually the Rams winning this one. As I said, I'm a big believer of the Rams, especially I think they're specifically made to thrive best in the playoffs. Not to take away from Detroit, they've obviously been arguably the best team in football this year. They've had an amazing season. They have six starters out on their defense, and they continue to push forward and look great on defense. So I understand people have them as their Super Bowl pick. A lot of people do, but I just believe more in the Rams right now than I do in the Lions. Then the other matchup in the division around here, we have Tampa Bay heading into Philadelphia, take on the Eagles, and I have Tampa Bay once again winning another playoff game. Last year they came up just short as they narrowly lost to the Detroit Lions, but I think this year Baker and the Bucks will get back to the NFC Championship. In the NFC Championship, I think we have a matchup that most people wouldn't expect, but I just believe in both of these teams so highly. We have the LA Rams taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa, and I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers reaching the Super Bowl. So we get a little rematch. Remember Tom Brady and the Bucks beat Mahomes and the Chiefs, but this time I have the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes defeating Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucks in the Super Bowl. And with that said, I have a specific gut feeling prediction here for the Super Bowl as to how the game will end. I think the game, Kansas City will seal the first three-peat in NFL history. With a minute 31 left, I think George Karlaftis, the outstanding pass rusher, will sack Baker Mayfield and therefore lead the Chiefs to taking a couple kneel downs and becoming the first team in NFL history to win 3 straight Super Bowls. And with that said, I have George Karlaftis actually being not only sealing the deal for the Chiefs, but being the Super Bowl MVP. I have him finishing the game with 3.5 sacks. So yeah, guys, those are my predictions for the NFL playoffs. I'm super excited. Once again, they begin on Saturday, 4 o'clock, and they end Monday night football. Yeah, at least a wild card weekend. And then obviously, then we go to the division round, then to the conference championships. And then, we have that break where I think it's the Pro Bowl, and then we go to the Super Bowl. So super excited. Should be a fun NFL playoffs. And yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want to give me any of your takes or predictions on the playoffs this year, just let us know. We'd love to hear your takes. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed my predictions for the 2025 NFL playoffs. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to our first episode of 2025. Hope you guys enjoyed our talk in the entertainment world with Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and everything that's going on there. We had some Golden Globes talk. Congrats again to Tom Holland and Zendaya. Congrats again to my boy Brandon and Gabby. And then also, I hope you guys enjoyed our sports talk. A lot of drama in the Miami sports scene. We talked some Jimmy Butler, some Tyreek Hill, some Miami Dolphins. Shout out again to our college football guy, Paul, as he sent in a great, audio clip there, giving his thoughts for the semi-final games coming up this week. And then we end, with my NFL playoff predictions, which was a lot of fun to do. I love doing these predictions, and, I usually have predictions for some reason that aren't typical to others. So I like hearing people's reactions. So let me know what you think about my predictions. Let me know what your predictions are. And with all that said, make sure to, keep it locked in here to Flame Entertainment and Sports on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at @theflame_ES. Once again, Happy New Year. Until next time, everyone, take care.